Desperation grew in Gaza as Palestinians lined up at soup kitchens amid a worsening hunger crisis. Local health authorities say dozens have died of starvation in recent weeks. Israel, which sealed off Gaza in March and reopened access under tight controls in May, insists it allows sufficient aid in, but accuses militants of diverting supplies. It also blames the UN for slow distribution. The United Nations, however, says it is doing all it can under restrictive Israeli conditions. Over 2.2 million residents remain at risk as aid struggles to reach those most in need. UNRWA Commissioner General Philippe Lazzarini stated that 1 in every 5 children in Gaza City is suffering from malnutrition, with cases rising daily. Lazzarini pointed out that the soaring rates of child malnutrition in Gaza and the looming threat of famine are spreading silently. He explained that most children in Gaza are thin, weak, and face the risk of death unless they receive urgent treatment.
Avec les autorités militaires israéliennes. Et donc, du coup, notre personnel palestinien.
WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, Gaza faces man-made mass starvation due to a blockade, he stated. Malnutrition deaths are rising, with at least 21 children under 5 dead in 2025. Aid deliveries were blocked for over 80 days and remain limited. About 10% of people screened are malnourished, including 20% of pregnant women. WHO staff have also come under attack amid ongoing conflict.
2025, WHO has documented 21 days.
The Palestinian Red Crescent has declared that Gaza is facing a severe man-made starvation crisis caused by an ongoing Israeli blockade and restricted humanitarian access. Spokesperson Nebal Farsakh reported that over 100 people, including 80 children, have died from starvation. Hospitals in Gaza are overwhelmed with patients suffering from severe malnutrition. The Red Crescent is calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire and unrestricted humanitarian access to prevent further loss of life. Gaza's government media office has said the enclave urgently needs at least 500,000 bags of flour weekly to prevent a humanitarian collapse. Hospitals have reported over 115 deaths from famine and malnutrition amid a near-total Israeli blockade. It urged the international community to break the siege, fully reopen crossings and allow essential aid, including baby milk, to reach the 2.4 million people trapped in Gaza. France has announced that it will co-chair an international meeting with Saudi Arabia next week at the United Nations to rescue the two-state solution. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot stated that the prospects for establishing a Palestinian state are more threatened than ever as Gaza suffers from famine and destruction.
We're thankful for your visit. Thanks for your coming, and I know that from the early morning with our Minister of Foreign.
Leading international news agencies AFP, AP, Reuters and the BBC have jointly called on Israel to permit journalists to enter and exit Gaza amid a strict blockade. In a statement, the groups expressed deep concern for their reporters trapped in Gaza, struggling to provide for themselves and their families. They reiterated their urgent plea for Israeli authorities to ensure safe passage for media personnel in and out of the territory. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has said that U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff is traveling to Europe to meet with key regional leaders to advance a ceasefire in Gaza and secure the release of detainees held by Hamas. Witkoff is expected in Rome on Thursday for talks with Israeli and Qatari officials, with potential travel to Doha later in the week to finalize an agreement, according to Axios website. Leavitt emphasized that both President Donald Trump and Witkoff are committed to achieving a ceasefire and freeing detainees as soon as possible.
Negotiations that are currently taking place. I spoke to Special Envoy Witkoff last night about them. I will let him speak further on the matter, but the President and Special Envoy Witkoff has made the administration's goals clear. We want this ceasefire to happen as soon as possible, and we want these hostages to be released later in a few hours. So we will see you.
Israeli forces have arrested at least 25 Palestinians across several West Bank towns. According to the Wafa news agency, raids took place in Beit Omar, Idna, Dur al-Qari, Ramallah, Al-Mazra'a, Al-Sharqiyya and Nablus. The arrests come amid ongoing tensions in the occupied territory. Moving on to Lebanon, Lebanese President Joseph Aoun affirmed that Lebanon is fine and there will be no return to the language of war. Speaking today during a meeting with the Grand Mufti of the Republic, Sheikh Abdul Latif Daryan, and regional muftis, Aoun said that Lebanon stands at a critical crossroads that could prove decisive. He stressed that the unity and cooperation of the Lebanese people are essential to confronting all challenges. An Israeli force has infiltrated Lebanese territory in the town of Hola in southern Lebanon, advancing approximately 800 meters beyond the border. It is worth noting that Israeli warplanes have recently breached the sound barrier multiple times over Lebanese territory in what is seen as a provocative message.